The number of smart and intelligent devices is growing. The amount of information and data they collect and exchange is dramatically increasing. Is it good? Sure, this gives a choice for customers and users. This is the new market, and it is the growth of economies. But what will happen in the year 2050? How many different devices and technologies will we have? And what about the interoperability between them? In a brief perspective, competition is very high and firms are always fighting for their places in history. The first one to establish a place in the market does not want the other one to outplace him. There is also a competition in standards. This does not give choices to customers as they are forced to use whatever they are given, which is sometimes annoying and costly. From this point, is technology capable to provide the compatibility and easy exchange between many devices and technologies? Is it possible to have one single model for different patterns? Finally, are regulators ready to enforce that?
When I was trying to assemble a smart house, I was looking to the devices, the smart devices, the sensors, the IoT. And the problem is everything should be at the same brand. The lights, the door, the window, the air condition, even the television. If you think about the refrigerator or the laundry machine. And that's a huge problem. Imagine how much money you spend in one brand and how many applications you have if you had a lot of brands. If you have a lot of brands, they will not communicate. If two lights are not in the same brand, they will not communicate. This is a huge problem. Imagine the car. The same problem when you buy a car and you go and change it. You wanted to take your needs, your preference to another car, and you cannot take. You have to reassemble that. Starting to this point, looking at this problem, we are here to think about this, how to solve this kind of problem.
Most major manufacturers have their own series of devices, their data exchange protocols, and their device management applications. Of course, this is a competition, and every manufacturer are trying to tie the client to himself. Nevertheless, is it in the interest of consumers? And what to do? In an open data world, looking at the fourth industrial revolution, is it possible for them to desire to be holding information? Can we deliver smart choice and evolve to a better understanding of data standards?
We can assume that in 2050, almost all cars will be autonomous or at least smart, and consequently they should communicate between each other directly or using base stations. So we should think about this issue today in 2019.
With a lot of devices out there, we have a lot of problems because most of the devices, they have even some other accessories. Take an example of phones or laptops. You find phones with different kind of chargers. We have Apple phones with different kind of charger pins. We have Samsung with different charger of pin, and we have BlackBerry and so many others. So how can these phones exchange data between them? So we find this example whereby we have one USB port with so many different kind of chargers. So this is one good example of a convergence whereby you find phones, and which is very useful for customers, for users. Before, we used to have so many chargers, which was creating a lot of e-waste.
In order to resolve this issue, we need to approach comprehensively and globally. And we are confident that organizational, technical, as well as issues related to the motivation of manufacturers and sellers should be taken into account.
Today, not all sensors and smart devices can communicate effectively. The creation of converged devices compatibility technology will allow for such connection between devices both at a low and at a high level. Using a single standardized convergence technique, it will be possible to expand and exchange data throughout IoT and smart devices. This can also enable the extraction of strategic information and to minimize its use. In this regard, it is proposed development of technical standards and protocols to implement global converged device compatibility technology both at the level of IoT sensors and at the level of smart devices. Development of data exchange requirements. For example, what should be the data format depending on the network used and how the data should be encoded or encrypted. Establishment of an international association or foundation to coordinate compatibility issues. Creation of a fund to finance the development of new technology and support device developers.
Identification is very important. These days, people have to identify themselves wherever they go. And we wonder what will happen. How will people identify themselves in 50 years or in the year 2050? Let's see how I identify myself. For example, I have a driving license, I have an ID card, I have insurance card, I have a lot of cards that identify me wherever I go. So there are so many ways that you can use to get services. For example, if you go to the hospital, you need a card. If you go to you need another service, you need a different kind of card. How is the digital convergence going to help us in this? We have found some countries trying to create some solutions, especially Estonia. They have one digital ID, which is really helpful. So we are trying to find out and think ahead how a digital convergence will solve the problem of identification in the year 2050.
All smart devices and IoT sensors must be compatible and speak the same language. Development of a technology that can provide such compatibility will allow to provide users the right to choose without reference to the manufacturer, to improve competition and prevent possible monopolies in the market, to reduce the costs of developers of sensors and devices, develop ready-made standardized solutions, to use of collected information for subsequent processing, for example by BI, deep learning, etc. To improve global AI knowledge in the matter of metadata format interoperability. The future is for converged devices compatibility technology.